I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
It makes you think that at a fundamental level, this is sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding. Or do you believe that woman on that tape?
I cannot stand Trump because I think he's a fraud. Well, I think he's a total fraud that is exploiting these people, who is a total fraud.
Like you said, I agree with you on Trump because I don't think that he's the person. I don't think he actually cares about folks.
So JD Vance is out here pretending to be America's moral compass. But this week he couldn't find north if it was tattooed on a Chick-fil-A wrapper. You know, this guy went from writing Hillbilly Elegy, the book about escaping poverty, to becoming the vice president of the very system he said was broken. It's like writing a diet book and then opening an all-you-can-eat buffet. He flew to Europe for the Munich Security Conference, gave this speech about how Europe is afraid of its voters, which is hilarious because back home he's afraid of his own.
Vice President Maybelline was making the rounds, attempting to defend his boss and the chairman of the FCC with a new fairy tale even a 5-year-old wouldn't believe.
Celebrities are rallying to his cause, saying this is a First Amendment assault being carried out by the FCC, Brendan Carr, and by the President of the United States himself. And to that, you say?
Well, there are two things. First of all, I'd like them to tell me exactly what Brendan Carr did to have Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air, because number one, he is currently on the air, and to the extent that he isn't in certain stations, it's because he's not funny and because his ratings aren't very good.
I have some good news for you, J-Dog. We're back on all the stations.
The crowd is still finding their seats. The band fades down, and Jimmy Kimmel strolls out with that I already know the punchline grin. He taps the cards on his desk, looks into the lens, and says he's back on all the stations. The room explodes. That's the sound of a rumor dying. Then he pivots, zeroes in on JD Vance, and detonates a nickname so precise it could double as a product label. Vice President Maybelline.
He acts like he's out there defending the working class, but the second Trump frowns, JD changes his entire belief system faster than a Tesla stock price. And remember, this is the same JD Vance who once called Trump America's moral disaster. He literally said Trump was cultural heroin. Then he met him, and now he's his dealer. He's out there pushing the same stuff he used to warn people about.
There is definitely an element of Donald Trump's support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia.
I think there's a chance, if I feel like Trump has a really good chance of winning, that I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. I think that I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
It hits the way only a line that exposes vanity and insecurity at the same time can hit. Somewhere a calm guy knocks over his coffee. Somewhere else, a senator pretends not to hear the joke while rage typing a response. And out there in the feeds, the 47th president's favorite wingman pretends ratings are the problem while he becomes the punchline. Let's track how we got to the eruption because this one was a 3-step dance. Step 1. Right before Brooklyn Week, JD Vance toured Friendly Studios, saying Kimmel's brief absence was about bad ratings.
I mean to interrupt your bullshit. Go on.
There's something else that's important here, Laura, which is that these broadcast companies, ABC, NBC, CBS, they enjoy the public airwaves because they serve the public interest. So I actually think that we should be having a conversation about whether these companies are serving the public interest. That's actually totally separate from the Jimmy Kimmel issue because nothing happened to him. He's currently on the air, and to the extent that he's not, it's because advertisers don't like him because his ratings aren't very good.
My ratings aren't very good. Last time I checked, your ratings were somewhere between a hair in your salad and chlamydia. In 3.5 years, I'm not the one who's going to be doing mascara tutorials on YouTube.
He spent part of his week warning Americans that dating apps are more destructive than artificial intelligence. Really? AI is writing your speeches, buddy. You're worried about Tinder when the robots are learning how to lie better than you? He says online dating is tearing apart traditional families. The guy works for a man who has 3 marriages and 5 kids who all look like they share one Wi-Fi password. You want to lecture America about stable homes? You work for the Trump family, not the Brady Bunch.
He asked for an apology to people he said Kimmel had slandered. Big talk, straight face, perfect setup. Step 2, Kimmel comes back with the lights. Hotter than ever. Tells America he is back on every station, then slides straight into Vance with a cosmetic counter haymaker. Vice President Maybelline, one line, permanent sticker. Step 3, Vance tries to yank the wheel on Fox, demanding contrition and insisting the joke proves the point. That's not control. That's a tantrum in a suit. And the tantrum is the story.
We wind up with a president and a vice president who wear more makeup than Kylie Jenner and Lady Gaga combined. A lot of pressure on JD Vance tonight. JD Vance hasn't been under a microscope like this since his wife asked him why the couch was so sticky. But Trump had good advice. He told him, just have fun. And you know what? It seems like he did.
I want to answer the question, but I want to actually give an introduction to myself a little bit because I recognize a lot of Americans don't know who either one of us are.
That's how you get the single cat ladies back on your side. You know, in some ways, you can't help but you kind of feel sympathy for JD Vance having to defend Donald Trump, who he himself openly denounced. It's kind of like being Diddy's defense attorney, you know?
Here's why Kimmel's line shredded so cleanly. It wasn't just a disc. It mapped the whole aesthetic in 4 words. The performative toughness, the brand obsession, the need to look camera ready, even when the policy under the makeup is a mess. The nickname hit like a mirror. You could see the reflection twitch. When Kimmel followed with the mascara tutorial crack, you could feel the crowd connect the dots. This is not policy. This is packaging. And the packaging is cracking under the stage lights.
JD talks about family values while backing a president who spends more time golfing than parenting. He says men need to reclaim masculinity. Yeah, by all means, tell that to your boss, the man whose spray tan wipes off on the American flag. He's made himself the mascot of the forgotten working class, except the only thing he remembers is which billionaire is writing the campaign check this week. Every photo op he does has him in a barn wearing flannel, talking about coal jobs, while the fine print says, made possible by Peter Thiel. The man's political soul is sponsored content.
That is not a man hiding from Nielsen. That is a man turning a hit job into a highlight reel. So, why did JD Vance erupt? Because he got put in a box that fits. It is not fun being branded with a nickname that your opponents will use forever and your supporters will secretly hate because it's funny. You can debate a paragraph. You cannot debate a sticker. Kimmel stuck it on his forehead and kept moving. It is the oldest late-night trick. Tag a target with something specific, true enough to sting and short enough to travel.
In fact, both candidates were pretty darn polite to each other.
First of all, Tim just said something that I agree with. I agree. And I actually think I agree with you. I actually agree with Tim Walz.
I agree with a lot of what Senator Vance said.
Governor, I agree with you.
I agree with that.
And I think that Governor Walz and I actually probably agreed.
Well, Trump is not going to like that at all. You're in a lot of trouble, JD. I was kind of hoping they'd ask the candidates like some fun questions. Like, you know, they used to do that. Like, is a hot dog a sandwich? And then JD Vance would stare into the camera and say, when you're from Haiti, any dog can be a sandwich. But they didn't. They could have used a lot more talk about cats and dog eating.
And every time he opens his mouth about culture, it's a new episode of Things Nobody Asked. One week it's dating apps, the next it's birth control, the next it's women being too career-focused. He's like the cranky uncle at Thanksgiving who thinks feminism is a weather pattern. Then there's his big claim that America's in moral decline because people don't go to church enough. You know what else causes moral decline? Electing a guy who tried to overthrow democracy. But sure, tell me more about how Bumble is ruining society. He says he wants to stand up to global elites. Really? You flew to Munich in a private jet to say that, buddy? That's like yelling down with yachts from the deck of your own. JD Vance is what happens when populism goes to finishing school.